Hello everyone, my name is Roya, and today I'm coming to you with the books that I read in the latter half of February. There are a whopping 9 books here, so I'm going to talk about each of them really quickly. So first we have Den of Wolves by Juliette Marillier. This is the third and I believe final book of the Blackthorn and Grimm series. I really like this series. I think it's actually my favorite series of hers that I've read thus far. I like how even though that each book actually has its own plot line and its own conflict that the main characters are trying to figure out involving kind of different people, while also having a larger series arc at the same time. It really does that really well, and each one is kind of its own mystery to solve. It does that really well in like keeping us from knowing the whole thing and kind of trying to figure out what it is that's going on, and that's really perfect for someone like me who kind of starts series and goes, okay, now I know what that series is about and what that world is like. I'm not curious anymore. Dark Lord of Dirkholm by Diana Wynne Jones. This involves a fantasy world where each person kind of gets picked for what their role in it is and paid for, you know, what their role in it is. So like if you're a king or a queen, you get more than if you're a wizard, etc. So this dude has to be the Dark Lord and whatnot when he didn't really like think that he would. And so it's kind of an allegory for capitalism a little bit, and I really liked it. I thought there could have been more to it, but you know, I kind of enjoyed reading it. Fires of the Faithful by Naomi Kritzer. I have been steadily making my way through Naomi Kritzer's books, but thus far I had only read her new books. There is a 10-year gap between her older books and her newer books. Like, she didn't publish anything in between, basically. So I was really curious to see what her older books are like, because everything I've read of hers is really recent, like within the past couple years, basically, with the exception of her short story, which is from maybe like 4 years ago, 5 years ago, something like that. But anyway, so this was her first book. I was not really that into this one. I thought that it was, it really did not have enough depth or enough going on for me to get into the story or get into the characters at all. The King Killing Queen by Sean Speakman. This one was really disappointing. It was really flat and really boring, and the world building was really annoying in that it was trying to show like, look, we're smart and everything by having by kind of pulling from multiple different folklores, and it ended up just not working. None of it tied together, and I was just not impressed with this, unfortunately. So it really could have been so much better. It really had potential, but it just did not do it. Parachutes by Kelly Yang. This follows a Chinese student who gets sent to the US by her parents, and she's really rich and all of this stuff, and she winds up staying with a girl who is Filipino American and really poor, and so the two of them don't really get along. They don't really have the same friends or anything, and they both end up, they each end up with issues of sexual assault or sexual harassment involving men more powerful than them, so they're made to feel like nobody believes them. They can't really talk about what happened, any of that, and so they lived, the two girls live together, but they don't even know, because neither of them are telling anybody, that they're going through similar issues of something big derailing their life. Really have fallen in love with Kelly Yang's books lately, in the past like 6 months or so, I want to say, because she's such a good writer and such a good storyteller, and even like every little conflict in the books that we see the main characters go through is so well done. Like, no matter how big or small the conflict is that's going on, we feel the urgency and we empathize with the characters and all of that. Like, literally this book opens with our Chinese main character still in China, wondering why her father's latest mistress is adding her on social media, and then she's worried about the fact that she can't answer her own questions for her homework and do her own essays or anything because she's told by her tutors exactly word for word how to answer or what to write. And it's like, even though that's such a small conflict in the grand scheme of things of this book, I was really invested. The Archive Undying. this was pretty disappointing. I think it was just not what I thought it was. I was really expecting a lot more world building out of it, but it was kind of just a lot of talking and a lot of meh, and I was just not really on board with kind of how this book went. So I don't know, it wasn't bad or anything. It was just a little disappointing to me. Mr. Magic by Kirsten White. This is about a TV show that that everyone remembers seeing as a kid, but there is no record of it ever existing. There's no official cast list, like nothing, you know, no record of who worked on it, nothing like that. So our story follows a woman in her late 30s who 30 years ago was a kid on the show and did not have any recollection of that at all. She just found out that she used to be a kid on the show and that there's a reunion going on, and she didn't actually remember anything about the show at all. And it seems more and more as we get through the story that the show is what changed the entire trajectory of her life and made her end up where she ended up, and yet she does not remember what happened. And so this was such a good book. I was actually listening to it on audiobook, and after I finished everything that I was listening to an audiobook for, you know, I drove somewhere, drove back, cooked food, ate food, all of that, and still was so invested in the audiobook that I didn't want to stop, so I cleaned the entire bathroom and stuff, when like literally just because I wanted to keep listening to the book. So it was really, really good. It really keeps stuff from you to keep wanting, you know, make you keep wanting to read more and more. It's really a page turner. Womb City. This is a really good book about basically a far futuristic Botswana where this one woman is actually the third host of her same body. Like, as you can just prolong your life by jumping into a new body of someone who died and stuff like that, and that's pretty much the norm in this society. But that seems really weird because you don't remember anything from before you jumped bodies. So why it makes no sense what the point would be if you don't remember anything. So in this world, anyone who's committed of a crime gets executed so that their body can be used for somebody else, basically. And our main character ends up in a situation where she hits someone with her car, and she's like drunk and high and all this stuff, and she's afraid that then her body will be used for someone else, and then her baby that she has in like an incubator somewhere that's waiting to be born is like also gonna just become a body for someone to use as well. So she's like all worried about it, and so her alternative that she thinks of is to kill the person who she hit, who's basically dying, instead of trying to save them and reporting what happened. And so then this comes back to haunt her because the woman she killed comes back as like a ghost, a vengeful ghost who's trying to kill everyone she loves, and only she can see her, and it's really, really weird. And so this book is so weird. I could barely put it down. It has a lot of feminist themes to it, and it was really, really good, and I would definitely recommend it. It is very strange, and there were a couple things about it that just didn't quite add up, like some stuff that was just not thought out, not really explained adequately, but I did think that it was really, really a good book. And finally, last but not least, Girls Made of Snow and Glass by Melissa Bashardust. This is about a girl who finds out pretty early on in the book, and it's pretty obvious anyway, that she's actually made of snow. Her mother did not give birth to her, and in alternating points of view, we get her stepmother in flashback finding out that her heart is made out of glass. So this was a pretty good, you know, it was a pretty good story. I enjoyed reading it ish, but for the most part, I feel like it was a little bit weak in that the two main characters have a kind of a love-hate relationship, like, that just didn't quite work, because I think that either, you know, what makes a story work is either the characters love each other or they hate each other. And since it was so either or the entire time, it just did not make sense, and it just made for not a very strong story. So overall, I had a pretty good reading month. And if you've read any of these books and have any thoughts on them, etc., etc., please feel free to let me know in the comments, and I will see you very soon with a new video. Bye!